Hari Om and welcome, reading Chudamani Upanishad and mantra 27, it's called Jiva and Prana. Akshipto puja dandena tatha yato chalati kanduka prana pana samakshipstashtaha jevonatishtati. Just as the ball goes up and down when thrown by hand, the individual soul is thrown up and down by the movement of prana and apana, and therefore does not remain still. Very interesting analogy here. Commentary is, the word jiva means the individual soul or consciousness which experiences changes in the sensory world and is influenced by them. The changes are the experience of duality, such as heat and cold, sickness and health, happiness and misery, pleasure and pain, attraction and repulsion, life and death. There's just like a definition of the jiva. And jiva, if you know some other languages, for example, in Russian jiva, it's traditionally we say jiva, живой, животное, everything that's alive. Even живот, it's where the jiva is located, it's the stomach kind of area. Yodhara there, it's meaning something that have a life spark, energy or soul. Yeah? That's exactly what they are translated, and that's what it's originated from. It's individual soul, that's the one, not this prevailing universal that everybody part of, but it's something what more have attributed to these impressions and as the ball thrown up and down. The cause of thin duality at the physical level is said to be the breath. It takes its first breath, which signifies its entry into life, the first breath. From the first breath at birth until the last breath at death, the embodied soul is dependent on the breath as a source of life. Normally, throughout a single lifetime, the human body breathes 15 times in a minute, 900 times in an hour, and 21,600 times in a day. So here, just a connection of the breath and the first, when the baby born says, it has a breath, and let's follow us for the rest of our life. But it's up to us through this life to learn to control breath, slow it down, or fasten it. And as we remember from very famous saying, like for example, if you compare some animals, so the small little mouse or fly, they very intensive, they're burning their life very fast and they're very short-lived. In the same time, you have animals that are kind of slow, for example, turtle, they're very slow and they live the life very slowly. They breathe out very slowly, maybe reptiles. At the same time, they have very prolonged life. So we have this saying, I don't know if biologically it's true or not, but from the yogic community, it says you've been given your breath, number of breath for your this existence in this body, and the faster you use it, the faster your life will end it. And the slower you use it through your life, so less worries, less exciting, overexciting, overwhelmed activities, the longer you will live, yeah? And we can only prove it by example of yogis, yeah? All right. Breathing is a dualistic process involving two aspects of movement, inspiration and expiration, inhale, exhale. Prana represents the inspirational or active breath, and apana, the expirational or passive breath. Prana and apana are the upward and downward moving forces which influence the manifest consciousness. Hence, the jiva is the tossed up and down with each continuous breath, like a ball which is thrown up and down by the hand. As long as the breath moves in and out, the metabolic processes of the body and the thought process of the mind continue to function. The individual soul is constantly influenced by these processes and never remains still. This basically sums up our existence in this world. We bound by the breathing, by this duality, and everything in our body, physically, emotionally, mentally, depends on that. Under the influence of apana, the consciousness is drawn downwards to muladhara, which is associated with the grossest level of manifestation, the earth or material element. There it generates desires and attraction with the world. Under the influence of prana, the consciousness is drawn upward towards sahasrara, which is associated with either the subtle element and with the unmanifested dimension where it's experienced its higher nature. These two aspects of human life, the inner and outer, the mundane and the spiritual, can be brought together and united through manipulation and cessation of the breath, which is an important aspect of Kundalini yoga. It's amazing and very clear sum up of this process and how the breath reflected in our prana vibes, actually reflected in all our life existence and what we do in yoga. So we have these two dualities which we eventually marry together. Inhale, exhale, excitement and passiveness, all these dual things. We do need them to exist. So if we are aiming to, in a yoga practice or everyday life, to get rid of one and and just get more of other, even if it's like, in our opinion, good qualities, which not actually existing, and we will learn through when we go into the gunas and other stuff, that even distraction, even sadness is very important for us as a counterpart of opposites of it. So we cannot exist only in the pure happiness and constant excitement. We need to slow down and calm down ourselves, saying like we cannot just inhale it through all our life. We also have to exhale. We cannot just constantly bring our prana up. We also sometimes need to use our apana to clean the body, give a birth, or get rid of toxins. So this kind of stuff, it's all together. And unfortunately, often people a little bit fixated on one, like I'm only trying to stay positive, I only have positive thoughts, positive actions, or even in the yoga practice. They're forgetting about other part, and you have to balance them out, to stay in the middle. That's the ultimate goal of yoga practice or Kundalini rising, or just of our existence in this world. You cannot experience the happiness in life, love, or something what you're grateful for, without knowing the other side of it. And sometimes people depends on the background. Sometimes we come from very privileged families or happy families, and it's hard for us to understand could be otherwise. In the opposite, people who have constantly been struggling through all the life and childhood and growing up like that, and they even when they come to the happiness or blissful or not compassion, not needy environment, when nobody uses you for something they want from you, but they just compassionately do something good for you just because, not because they want something back from that, they cannot accept it, and they will start stirring the waters and get upset about it. So, and if you experience this in your life, you obviously noticed it, and sometimes it's very hard to understand why this is happening, but that's because of this disbalance. So the yoga practice should bring you to the middle, to the balance, to presence, to the quietness, to stillness, not to overexcite you or opposite, make you sluggish and sleepy and sad. I hope your practice do it exactly for you. Hari Om.